Hi everyone. Today I decided to make another video for node evaluation or node results using COM interface, but this time we are going to use VBA, Excel or Visual Basic. The previous video for this topic was about Python, but I think Excel can be a very useful tool when you have some data in a spreadsheet and you can use that and you can load that into the model using COM interface. For example, traffic volumes, traffic uh, mixtures, or any data basically. When you have lots of data, like trip chain files work very well. Matrices can be when you calculate and change and you run different stuff with it. So it might make sense to use Excel to actually get results out of Vissim as well, process that, and load a different input into it as a result of the outcomes. So the way to do it is you need to have a macro-enabled Excel file. You need to use buttons, or I like to use buttons. And with that, we open Vissim. Using those buttons, we control Vissim, and we load the data directly back to the same file. And you can go back and start updating your model, run it again, update your results, and so on, just using buttons in Excel. Where to start? You need to create a new file and you need to save it as an XLSM or a macro enabled spreadsheet. You need to go to your options, file menu options, ribbon customization, and tick on developer options. And you need to click Visual Basic. If you need a bit more detailed help on that, check out my AI in Excel video. In that one I show it in a bit more detail. You can place buttons by click Insert and assign a macro to it. If you click away and if you don't see any of these circles to adjust, then your icon is hang on, it is acting weird now. So your icon changes to a to a pointing finger when you can click on it. If you right click on it, you can make some changes to the text. You need to click away and then it's fine. Okay, I need to assign a macro, then probably it will bring up the the button. Yeah, but you need to right click in it and then you can change. So I just delete that. Then you open Visual Basic, go to Insert, Module. That will create a module. And here, let me just click the button first because it takes time to load. And there, in the background, it starts to load Vissim. You notice that it doesn't show the little loading window, and it will just bring it up. If we go to the COM help, we go to Vissim, you can see the methods and the properties. The properties, you can have your simulation that we use later. And in the methods, you see LoadNet. This is what we are going to use now as a first step. As you can see for LoadNet, both inputs are optional. That means you don't need to give them. You can just say LoadNet. I will bring it up in a second once Vissim has opened, because in the meantime I can't click back. But what this means is when Vissim opens, it will bring up a dialog box, and in the dialog box, it will ask you to select your model file to load. So this is what we are going to do. In the meantime, Vissim has opened, and as you can see, it brought up this little window. So I just select the model I want and go back here. And you can see I use subroutines. Each subroutine is a button. So what you see here, like load model, run model, are available to select or to assign to a button. Load model is a very simple one. But before you go to any subroutine or just do that, use these two lines before anything happens. This just copy it. We say this because we want an object called Vissim as public. Public means this Vissim will be accessible in each subroutine and everywhere. Everywhere if I have multiple stuff. And this subroutine, load model, is just basically two lines. The first one is I set Vissim, this object I created here. And that will be my Vissim. This way it will open it. And that opened instance will be Vissim. So whenever I say this, like vissim.graphics, vissim.simulation, or vissim.net, and this Vissim represents basically that window I created here. And then I just say vissim.loadNet, that comes from here. So Vissim, loadNet, and both are optional. Then, once the model is ready to be used, I can click and run simulation until breakpoint. So what we are going to do, we are going to start the model to run. We are going to add a breakpoint, basically like you would put a number here. And when the model is there, we will push another button to extract the results. Just need to make sure that the simulation is long enough so we can run it. So it is 3.7 thousand long. So run model, this highlighted, is the run simulation until breakpoint button. First, I define break at a variable as an integer. Then I put 3.6 thousand into this variable. I use this variable to just load it into that attribute, the sim break at attribute. Sim break at attribute is basically this little field. You can find it. So if we go to Vissim, the properties, you see simulation. Click on I simulation, or we can just come here as an object, like objects, simulation, attributes, and there is the sim break at. So Vissim as an object, simulation is Vissim property, at value is also Vissim's. So if you go back here, you can see all of these laid out. So simulation, you have the property at value, attribute value. And then I just put the attribute sim break at. And you can save 3.6 thousand here if you want to remove this. So that basically the same. I want to turn quick mode on. This. So if you search for quick mode, it gives you iGraphics attributes, and that is the thing. So simulate, sorry, let me just double click on it. You see that quick mode is iGraphics attribute. iGraphics. You can click on iGraphics reference by Vissim or previewer. So you know that you need to go to Vissim because it is shown there. Excuse me. So Vissim, here you find graphics as a property. You click on graphics and you click on uh, graphics attributes and you see quick mode. So vissim.graphics.addValue quick mode equals 0. So we need to put 1 because it is we want to turn it on. So if you click on quick mode, it shows that it is a Boolean and it's editable during simulation. So it's basically true or false. So I want it true, so I want it on, so I put 1. Then I want to run Vissim, run continuous. You can just do the same stuff like run. Did I type it correctly? Run continuous. This is some previewer. iSimulation, that is what I want. So you can see that it is by iSimulation. So iSimulation, what is iSimulation? So in iSimulation, you have all these attributes. Let me just go back. And you have also have public methods and properties. We want to run the simulation. So run continuous. And run continuous is within iSimulation and iSimulation is within Vissim. So Vissim simulation, run simulation. With this, you can send yourself a message. You just say message box, and then in these quotation marks, you just put the string you want. The simulation has arrived at breakpoint. You type whatever you want here. You will just see that when that happens. So let's try it. I run the simulation. Let me just put Vissim in the background. So you can see here when it starts running. You can see starts running. It will run up till 3.6 thousand. It's already there and quick mode is on. Now it's stopped and I have the little message box here saying the simulation has arrived at breaking point. I click OK. And now we are getting results. So this is my getting results subroutine. In the first two rows here, I just define variables. Actually, I don't need this. It was just a test. You need to define in VBA every single attribute, or sorry, variable you want to use. I will use this code to set up the whole table. So I create a header, and in the header you will have node number, from link to link, vehicle delay, and queue length. With this little thing here, I run through all of these elements within an array, or I could say like every item in a list. L bound and U bound is basically low bound and upper, or lower bound and upper bound. of headers. Headers is like this list or array. For I equal, that basically what this means is it checks the lowest and the highest element or item, and it loops through one by one. This is the line that basically writes into the cell that value. You say active sheet dot cells, and in the cell you set row and column. Then the value of it will be this one. This one. So I will change and go from the lowest element to the top, the upper limit, basically like 1 to 5, more or less. So starts at 1, if 1 is the first, and then row and column are 1 and 1. So in the first row, first column, and the value of that cell will be the first element or the first item of header, so node number. And then I increase column number by 1. Then it says next I go back again. If it is still below or within the array, then I will go to cell row number 1, column number 2. Then I put from link, and so on until I reach the end. Then I put column back to 1 because I want to come back to the first column. Then this is you learned from Python from the previous video. Into all movements, I basically put the whole collection of movements from a node. So a node has a lot of movements because when you evaluate a node, Vissim creates queue counters automatically, and for each movement it assigns one of them, and those will be your movements. So we want to extract all the movements. So I say get all. More detailed discussion about this in my previous video, so refer to that. Then I use the same for loop again. Basically, I will loop through every single element or item in all movements in that collection. So for each movement in all movements, you can say here anything. Just make sure that here you also say the same thing. Also, all movements can be anything. It is my own choice. This must match Vissim. So go node, movements, container, and here you have get all. So I increase the row number because the cursor currently in row number 1, because where we created the headers. Then into 4 separate variable, I put the movement attribute, the attribute value of from link to link, vehicle delay, queue length into variables. Since I loop through all movements and the current item is in movement, that's why I say movement.addValue. This basically refers to one movement, one item within all movements. So when you go to movement attributes, hang on, let me go back. iMovement attributes. You can see here from link to link, vehicle delay or back delay, and queue length. When you click on these, it shows you how many sub-attributes it has. It has 3. Vehicle delay. And QLAN has 2. FromLink doesn't have any. So that's why FromLink, to link, and vehicle delay needs to be like in current simulation, current time period, all vehicle types or classes. Q length, current simulation, and current time period. There is no distinguish. It doesn't distinguish between each vehicle type. It is not really applicable. I use the same as I used before to fill the sheet, a cell with value, to update the value of the cell. Row, it is now in the second one. I put node number, this node number. In column +1, so row number to column +1, so column B, the value of that cell is from link, this. Then to link, then delay, then QLAN in the next and next and next column. Then next goes back, row increases, the movement jumps to the next one in all movements and does the same. So when I click, you list, or it lists everything. Go back to Vissim. .45 is the current one. From 10 to 5, it's 32 and 85.8. 32 and 85.8. I think this is the one I was looking at. Then I click stop and close. And it closed Vissim. So as you can see, it is very powerful because you can get these results. You can do changes here. You can use another button to read some inputs back, loads it back to Vissim. Then you run your simulation again, extract the results, make changes, and so on and so on. I think it's very powerful and very good to learn how to do this communication back and forth. Let me know if you liked it or not. You can consider liking and subscribing, of course. And if you want to support me further, you can look into my Patreon page where you can pledge your support with a few dollars. Thanks a lot for watching, and let me know in the comment section if you have any questions or any ideas for a future video. See you in the next one.